Good evening, guys. I said we are talking about API documentation with Postman, and let's get right to it. In our Postman, we already have our endpoints defined here. So I said we should make sure our endpoints are arranged in a neat folder structure where each feature gets its own folder. Like the authentication, all our authentication features are inside here, and the property also has its own. So another cool thing to do is adding descriptions to our endpoints. So we can go, our postman here would normally be minimized. So we can go to the side of our request here. After clicking on a request, you go to this icon, the first icon by the right, and then add a description to that route or to that endpoint. You can simply say this is for registering users. So you can do that for more of your routes. You go to the login, do the same. So it's cool that your API endpoints all have descriptions for readability. Let's see. For So after stuff like that, we can go here. After you have added descriptions to all your endpoints, you can also add to the entire folder here, the whole application in this top level folder. You click on it, go to the side of this place and add a description here of the property app. This is an application for finding properties for rent, short let, or sale. Something like this. Save. Now after we must have added descriptions to all our endpoints, we can go here, right on the root folder, click on these three dots and click on view documentation. You see all the endpoints inside here, and what we do here, come to the top right and you see this publish button. You're going to click publish. Takes you to your browser, so you have to be connected to the internet for this one. So what do we have to change here? You have the content, the environment. You leave the environment as no environment. And this. Now we can also see the preview of the documentation here by the left hand side. Preview documentation. This is how our documentation will look. documentation looks good. Like Postman already makes it so easy for us to create documentations and publish it. If we go ahead and publish this now, let's go ahead and publish this now. It will be live on the internet, to be public for everyone to view. If I copy this here, let me post it on our group chats. You can go and still see it. The documentation is live on Postman. So this can sort of be like a portfolio. Whenever you develop an API, you can upload your endpoint. You can upload your documentation to Postman and be sharing it, or put a link to it in your website, basically, if you don't have any live applications with it. Next thing we can do here is add a little more things to our documentation. So I don't know if you have gone through a proper API documentation. Let's go here. You will notice that in that API documentation, you see this example request, but you also see the example response. I don't know, is anyone familiar with how that looks? Well, let me just practically show you how to add an example response. So to add an example response, you just go to any of your endpoints, try and use it. So I'll use the registration route, but first of all, I think I need to on the project. Let me confirm if it's on already. PHP artisan save. Make sure to add the appropriate environment, then register with these details. Okay. Now, to keep this as an example response, you just go from the response section, you click on the drop down save response, and then do save as example. And here what we will name it is successful registration. Again, we can also add another one, like in case we want to show them also what happens when there is a validation error, because the name, password, they are all required. So we can just take these off and send them again. And then you see this is also a response. Now we'll do another save as example. Call this one registration validation error. Save. You can also do the same for logging in. Login here. Save response. Successful login. also add another failure. What do we do here? Let's do wrong password. Something like authentication error. This should be fine for test, but you can add it to all your other routes. Let's see how it will look. So after doing this, you'll have to save your endpoints and all, then go back to the documentation. We had a preview. Now if we refresh this preview, wrong application. Sorry. We have to open that preview again. Go to edit publish documentation. Now say edit settings, preview documentation. Now if we look at our registration endpoint and login endpoint, you see there's a drop down here saying successful registration with the example response here. Now if we do registration validation error, we can see this also changes. So it's very nice for our applications to be this thorough. Now let's see our login routes. Successful login authentication error, incorrect email or password. So yeah, was this understandable? Any questions?
Yeah, it's clear. I didn't even know it's quite easy like this. Never actually seen it this way before.
This is a very, very, very convenient tool, Postman. So in other words, there are also times you would want the documentation on your own site and not published on Postman. You can actually have the HTML document of this Postman documentation, and that's what we'll be going over next. Let me publish this, save and publish. I should be live as well. Now we are going to be using a tool called Docgen, which is Postman Docgen. This is the GitHub repository for it, and the GitHub repository, we go down to the description, the readme file. You see, this is what it transforms your Postman collection to HTML documentation. This is how it would look. This is how it would look. So to use this application, it's quite simple. For Windows, you can simply click download binary here and then look for the latest Windows AMD 64-bit, because I'm sure you're using a 64-bit laptop. When you download it, it should be in your downloads folder here. Where is that? Let me download it again. Download. Start download. So it should be in the programs, and there we are. Okay, still downloading. For some reason it's very slow. But after you have downloaded that, you're going to need to install it. Now, or no, scratch that, you won't install it. After downloading it, it's a binary file. So what you need to do, first things first, you're going to rename it. Rename whatever that file is. Sorry. Rename whatever that file is to Docgen. Basically, take the file, rename it to Docgen. After that, you're going to take it to a location in your C drive. This is how I handled my own installation. Take it to your C drive, go to program files, create a folder under this program files called Docgen right here. Open it, then paste in the exe file that you downloaded and renamed to Docgen. Now after doing this, you're going to take the file path from here, copy in the file path, go to your system environment variable, you click on your environment variables. You're going to be editing the path, so you go to path here, click OK, oh no, don't click OK, sorry, click on the path, click on edit. Then this is how my Windows 11's own look. If you're using Windows 10, this is how it will look as well. You click on new, and then you paste in the path. As you can see, I already have it here already, so I don't need to add it again. Okay, you can cancel here. Now that is the installation process to use Docgen. Now make sure you press OK after your editing and OK to apply it. Now let's go back to the documentation on GitHub. Now let's look for the usage. Now we're looking to convert it to HTML documentation from Postman collection. First of all, what is this Postman collection that we are talking about? So we can get a Postman collection from Postman by exporting our project, our API project from here, our API collection, which is this. What you just do is go to the three dots, then look for export collection, scroll down and see export. Now we are going to do export collection v2.1. Now click on export. We'll select a place where we would want to export it. I'll just put it directly on the desktop and save. if we go to my desktop, we'll see it right here, my JSON collection. If we open it in Visual Studio Code, let's see, close these. Close others. Now see it's in JSON format. This is basically all our endpoints inside a JSON formatted document. Now let's go ahead and convert it to a HTML document. Now right click and say copy path. Then we're going to open our command prompt. Okay. Now we're going to navigate to desktop or wherever your file is. You can copy the file path and do a cd this. And we're just going into desktop folder. Okay, now let me open the documentation once more. It says this is the command to create it. To view live HTML documentation from Postman collection, use this. Okay, this is to view it in our browser because of the port they included here. You can play around with this on your own chart, but this is to view the markdown. Though we're looking to make HTML documentation, use this. Yeah, this is what we are looking for, to output the HTML document. So we take this, and go to our command prompt. Paste it here. Change the name here to property app.html. Now this should be replaced with the name of our collection. Make sure you're running this command where your Postman collection is located. Mine is located in the desktop, so I'll just copy the name. Make sure you use the .json. Make sure the .json is present. I paste here because there's a space in mine. There's a space in my name, so I'm going to use the double quotes to wrap it around it. Now I think we're all set. If we now press enter, documentation has successfully been generated. Now let's go here and look for it. Start from P. This is it. And let's open it here. There it is, our documentation in HTML format. You can expand and view. This is the error response. You can select the one to view successful response. It shows us this unsuccessful response. You can see validation error. And you can see the validation error here. So this should be careful, because this happened when I created my example. I didn't put back the fields. The first request body here should actually be everything that the user needs. All the required fields should be here. Then your example response can have all the different type of bodies to show errors or successes. You have the login also here with the successful login response and the error login response. Then look at these other ones. All of them are present. Very, very readable, understandable. So was this one, did you get this one? Anyone have any issues here? Any issues with this one? Anybody?
No issues. No issues at all.
Okay.
Although the other one, the postman published one, actually looks kind of nicer than this.
Yeah.
But I think they have different use.
Yeah. Now let's skip to the part where this one is important. Now let's say you want to add this to your website. You can simply do that. Now let's go to our project. Now we can say, now let's load our project. Now let's load just the normal page. It should be in localhost 8000. We should load up here. Now what we can do is inside our public, you create a new folder called docs. Create a new folder called docs, and we are going to move this file, this HTML file that we generated from Docgen. I'm doing a Ctrl+C here or Ctrl+X. I'm pasting it inside this folder. Okay, that worked better. Now what we'll do, we are going to rename it to index so the browser can pick it up. Let's see, rename index.html. Now that that's done, now simply go to your browser and do /docs. Now look at this. If we have our application deployed now, what we can simply do is add this route, saying you don't even need to edit the route file, just need to modify the document structure and just say /docs. Your application now has documentation within it. It's convenient and very, very easy to use compared to the other alternative, which is Swagger, and there's another one. So I hope that is clear.
Yes.
Alright, awesome. So the documentation is actually very good knowledge to have, because everybody should be able to document their applications. Make sure to also make use of variables here. You shouldn't be showing off this HTTP 8000. Make sure you have all your variables replaced with, have all your this base URL, have it replaced with variables, and let it not be visible on your documentation. Is that clear?
Yes, but if we have the variables replaced, how do we now indicate the URL in the documentation? Like, I think it's supposed to be written somewhere that the base URL is so URL.
Now that is what this is for now. It's your application documentation. Inside Postman, I told you just click on this guy and then go to the documentation. So not comments, you go to here, then here in this your description, you can simply add this thing, base URL. So it's easy to specify it, it's easy to. So do you understand this, what I just said?
I do.
Alright, cool. Just anything you need to add, you add it in the description, and this is where it appears right here, so the user will definitely read it. Even in Postman, it will also be there. And we can edit our settings. Let's preview what we just changed. Alright, see, you can specify it here. You can name the URL, whatever this is. So I think this should be all for this class. You can practice on your own, you can make your documentation more elegant. I think this will be all for today. I will be uploading the video or the class for this one also.